we need to zoom in. We need to zoom in, people. Bang, 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 bang. Let's get in on this board. Yeet. That's how we do. Changes in the middle of it. Let's do it.
3, 2, 1, go.
What's up, everybody? My name is Nick Murphy. I'm one half of the Brothers Murph, and this is Board Game BAM! Highlight. Board Game Highlight is a weekly segment where Mike and I take a game from the shelf behind us and we highlight it for you. And this week's game is all about the feels. It really is. Not so much because the game itself gives you any feels, because of the sentimental value this game has to us. And actually, this is not in a box. The game I'm talking about is Cribbage. This is a Cribbage board. This is a Cribbage board. There's many different kinds of Cribbage boards, but this is a Cribbage board. Cribbage is a classic card game, so you play with a normal deck of cards. It's a classic card game where you are scoring points and pegging along on this board, trying to be the first one to finish the whole board. So trying to get to the end the fastest. It's kind of a race game in terms of scoring. But Cribbage is a game that is very dear to our hearts, because Cribbage is a game we used to play with our grandparents. Our grandparents are big Cribbage players, or were. Our grandfather unfortunately passed away a couple years ago, and our grandmother, who is 92, stopped playing Cribbage about a year ago. We never played very many classic card games, other than Solitaire or War or Speed or any of those other kind of games like that. We didn't really play any of the other ones. They just weren't a big part of our family, with the exception of Cribbage. Cribbage was a huge part of our family. Everyone played. Our mom, our dad, our uncles, our grandparents. Everyone played Cribbage. We learned from a very young age, and Cribbage is very dear to our heart. And so this one also is going to be dedicated to our grandfather, who we lost a few years ago, because he loved Cribbage. So let's get down to the table and look at how it plays. All right, so this is Cribbage. These are Cribbage boards. They're Cribbage boards, and I got the card thing. Nope, that didn't work. How do people do this? I'm always jealous of people who do these, that's okay. I always have to, spread it out like this. Do this, sweet, Hold on, let's try. I think I need to put pressure. Okay, I'll take that. We figured it out, fam. We figured it out. Okay, so you need, pressure and, to cradle the cards. Boom! We did it! But nonetheless, these are Cribbage boards. We have 4 of them. And the reason why we have 4 of them, you really only need 1, is because our grandfather, the one who this board game highlight is dedicated to, our grandparents were travel agents. That's what they did for a job. They were travel agents. They were very good at their job, and they loved what they did. But our grandfather, his main hobby outside of work was woodworking. He loved woodworking. He would just sit in his garage all day after work on the weekends and just make stuff in the wood shop. He just loved it. He made most of the furniture in our grandparents' house. He made beautiful tables and beautiful chairs and just loved it. He one time was cutting something on the table saw, and it caught something in the wood and threw it through their garage door, apparently. But, just fun shenanigans like that, and he loved woodworking. And one of his favorite things, probably honest, I would say his favorite thing to make was Cribbage boards. He made these 3 Cribbage boards. This one was made by someone else and is much newer, which is why it looks much newer. But these were made by our grandfathers. And these are some of our most prized possessions are these 3 boards right here. This is 3 of about 1 million that he made. He made so many Cribbage boards. And you can see he made them in all different ways. This one looks like a pineapple. This one's just a big circle. It looks like a big, a paddle that frats would use to haze people with. And then you have this one, which has these little turny things on it, which is really cool. And then he made a whole bunch more. He made one out of antlers. He found deer antlers out in the forest one day, because that's what you do when you're old Norwegian. And he found these deer antlers, and so he drilled holes in them, and so the Cribbage board, where you peg all the holes, was branching down these antlers. It was so cool. He had those, and he had more traditional ones, and these and that, and so many other kinds of Cribbage boards. He just loved making them, absolutely loved making them, and we were lucky enough to get 3 of them. And we love them so much. And then this one, I'll get into the game in a second. Sorry, I gotta like I said, this one's about the feels ultimately, because this was actually made by a follower of ours, and you can see it says the Brothers Murph on there. And this is very sentimental because we have a follower whose grandparents also taught him how to play cribbage, and that was something we bonded over. And it was made by G Money. G Money also is the person who made our intro, the 3, 2, 1, bro. That's G Money. And then a young gentleman he knows named Young Doug made the music, and then another gentleman named Rye Fresh helped out with the animation. And so on the inside of this one, you see it says G Money, Young Doug, and Rye Fresh, because G Money actually made this for us. And then he gave us some sweet money cards that I would be playing with, but they're very hard to show up on camera. And then he sent us a lovely note that says, a little help so that someday we can be cool grandparents, because we both learned from our grandparents. And so this board is very, very, very special to us. It's one of the coolest things we own, and thank you so much, G Money, again for making it, because he did make it, and he drilled all the holes, and it's just amazing, and I love it so much. But nonetheless, we're going to be playing on one of our grandfathers, because this is dedicated to our grandfather. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to go ahead and play on the pineapple. Let's play on the pineapple, because it's my fave. So as I said, Cribbage is a classic card game where you're racing to the end of the finish line. What the finish line is these holes. This has a cool little compartment, which has some nails in it, because what you're doing in this game is that you are pegging. What you're doing is you're pegging, and you're pegging up the tracks. You're pegging like, and then this one comes that one, and that one goes from there. And they just keep passing each other like that. And you peg, and then this is one player, and this is the other player. It is a 2-player game. And then up here, this little track right here just shows how many games you have won if you're playing multiple games. But nonetheless, you start down here at the end, and how you win the game is you're going to go up the outside, down the inside, up the outside, down the inside. It's 4 tracks, 1, 2, 3, 4. The person who finishes those 4 tracks first wins the game. That's how you win. So when you peg, when you get points, you're going to peg. So you get like 2 points or 4 points. If you get 2 points, you're just going to go boom, go up 2 points like that. Then if you get like 2 more points later, you're going to take your back peg and put it 2 points in front of the front peg. Hopefully going up and then back and then up and then back again, always up on the outside, down on the inside, up on the outside, down on the inside. That was just absolutely drilled into our minds as children. Up on the outside, down on the inside, up on the outside, down on the inside, up on the outside. And the first person to finish the track is the person who wins. So that is pegging. That is how you track your points in the game and track who is in first. Now, how you get points is by combining certain cards together, essentially. There are 2 different parts of the game. Well, essentially, actually 3 different parts of the game. There is the part where everyone gets dealt their hand, that everyone's going to get 6 cards, and then you choose 4 of those 6 cards that you want to keep. And then there is the playing phase. So that way, you will be playing cards. Each person is going to play 1 card in their turn, so they're going to play this card. The person's going to play this card, and the person's going to play this card, and 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 this card, until they've both done all 4 of their cards, and you can score points during that phase. And then after that, starting with whoever did not deal scores first, then you're going to score the hand that you've kept. And then that's the end of the round, and you do as many rounds as it takes until someone wins, essentially. So during the play phase, after you choose which 4 cards you want, we'll get into what cards you may want to choose in a moment. We're going to go over the actual play of the game, where each person plays a card of their own until all 4 cards are played. You're going to play cards back and forth, and you're always going to add on to the next card. So if I play a 1 and then Mike plays a 3, I put mine down, I go 1. Mike puts his 3 down and goes 4, because 1 and 3 is 4. Then I put a 7 down and I go 11. And then Mike puts an 8 down and goes 19. And we do that, we keep going back and forth. The highest the play can go is 31. Once it gets to 31, it'll start back at 0 again. So then if Mike got to 31, on my hand, the next card I play will start back at 0. So then if I played like a 6, I'd go 6, and then he'd go 15 or 10 or whatever. And so it's always up to 31, and then it goes back. So if this is a sequence of cards right here, I played a 10, then Mike played a 10, which is 20, then I played a 9, which is 29, and these are the only 3 cards Mike has left. He cannot play, because again, the highest we can go is 31. So now if Mike would then say go means I'm passing it over to you. Whenever you say go and you pass it over the other person, the person you're passing it to gets a point, because they ultimately caused you to not be able to play a card, or you weren't able to play a card, so you get punished a little bit. So in that case, I would get 1 point. Now let's say I have these 2 cards left. I go, okay, it comes back to me. Now we come back to whether or not I can play. But let's say I have these cards right here, a 6 and a 2. It's at 29 right now. I have a 2. A 2 would make 31. 31 is the highest we can go, so I can play, and I'm going to go 31. Now, whenever you score bang on 31, you get 2 points. And then it would start back over again, and then at that point, whoever's next in the sequence would go, so then Mike would go first because I played the last card, and we continue going until we run out of cards. And then whoever plays the last card will also always get a point. So that's the general sequence. You're playing back and forth up to 31, or if you can't play, you say go, and then once you're at 31 or neither player can play, you go back to 0 and you keep going through, and then whoever plays the last card always just gets a point as a consolation prize for holding out till the end. But you can score during this phase. There's a number of different ways you can score. We've already been over a couple. You can get to 31. That would be 2 points. You can, if someone says go, passing it back to you, you'll get a point. If you play the last card, you get a point. But the main way I would say to get points in this is to get 15s. You want to get exactly to the 15 mark. So if Mike played a 10 first, he goes 10, and I have a 5, I can go 15. And what you say is 15 for 2. Because boom, whenever you score 15, you get to 15 exactly. Whoever's the person that got us there gets 2 points. Or if I put down a 6 and then Mike has a 9, oop, that's a 2. That's a 2. Disregard. If Mike put down a 9, bang, boom, that's 15. 15 for 2, Mike would get 2 points. Another way to get points is to get runs. So if I played a 2 and then Mike played a 3 and then I play a 4, that's a run of 3. 2, 3, 4, I would get 3 points. And then if Mike then played something like a 5, he would get 4 points because it's 2, 3, 4, 5. Mike would then get 4 points. Now these also do not necessarily have to be played in order. So if I played a 2 and then Mike played a 4, I can play a 3, boom, boom, boom. That's a run of 3. That's 3 points. The last kind of score you can get is pairs. So if I put down a 7 and then Mike put down a 7, he'll get 2 points for making a pair. So boom, 2 points. But then if I put down a third 7, I would get 6 points because a triplet is 6. So that's the end of the gameplay part. You go back and forth trying to score points. You score from 15s, 31s, pairs, triplets, goes, last cards, and runs. And you try to get as many points as you can, but that's not where you get most of the points. Most of the points comes from you scoring the actual hand that you kept. So like I said, at the beginning of each round, the dealer is going to deal each person 6 cards, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is going to deal each person 6 cards, and then you are going to decide 4 of these cards to keep. So you're like, okay, I want to keep, I don't know, these 4. So I have to then get rid of these 2. These 2 are going to go over by the dealer and is what is called the crib. And the dealer goes through their cards like, oh, I'm going to get rid of these cards. Boom. Okay, those are in my crib. And then these are the 4 cards you have to play with during the round. And then these are the 4 cards you're going to score at the end of that round. And then whoever is not the dealer is going to cut the deck, and then the dealer is going to overturn the top card. And whatever card is overturned here is essentially part of both players' hands. It's not actually in their hand, but I could use this card as part of my hand for scoring, but then again, so could Mike during his hand. So then at the end of the round, you are going to look at the 4 cards that you have plus the card that was cut, and then you're going to score your hand. Your hand scores similarly to the gameplay, but not completely. You still get points for 15s, and each 15 is still 2 points. So I have a 10 and a 5, that's 1 15, 15, 2. And then a 6 and a 4 make 10 because I can reuse the 5 card. You can use the cards as many times as you want to make scoring. So 6 and 4 make 10, and I still have this 5. So right here, this is another 15, 2. Again, 2 points. So generally how you score when you start getting faster, you're like, all right, this is 15, 2, 15, 4. And that's 4 points for my 15s. Cool. Boom. 15-4. Whereas Mike here, randomly drawn by me, Mike went the all 15s routes because he has 15-2, 15-4, 15-6. So he gets 6 points from his 15 because, again, you can reuse these cards for scoring. So, boom, he would get 6 points. That's pretty darn good. So you get points for all your 15s just like you do in the normal game. But in this part of the scoring, you don't get any points for making 31. You can't, like if this here was a 1, I would not get points for having 31. That's only during the gameplay where we're both playing cards. The next thing you can do, like in the normal gameplay, is get points for pairs. So this right here is a pair of 10s. I would get 2 points for that. If I had a third 10, it would be 6 points, just like the normal gameplay. The next thing you can score, just like the normal gameplay, is runs. So in this case, I have a 4, a 5, and a 6. That's a run of 3. I would get 3 points. You can also score a flush. So if this 6 of clubs was replaced by this 6 of spades, I have 4 spades. That would be 4 points, which is pretty cool. And then also, if this right here was a spade, I would also get to score this as a flush. And that is the scoring for the end game. You essentially can get 15s, runs, pairs, and flushes. That's all you can do, but you can start doing it in these seriously crazy combinations. You can do these crazy combinations because remember, you can score cards multiple times. So in this situation right here, I have 3, 4, 5, 5. 3, 4, 5, 5 is a pretty good hand because you have what's called a double run. Because you have 3, 4, 5, that's 1 run, that's 3 points, but you also have 3, 4, and the other 5, and that's another 3 points, plus you have a pair of 5s, which is 2 points. So a double run of 3 is always 8 points, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because of the pair, and that's 8 points, boom, yeah. Now let's say the cut card was a 6. This 6 is essentially part of my hand. So instead now I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 4 different 5, 6, that's 8, plus a pair is 10 points. A double run of 4 is really good. Now let's say the cut card was a 5. Now I have a triple run. I have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 is 9 points, plus a triplet is 6, that's 15 points. But we haven't even gotten into situations where there's 15s as well. Because in this situation right here, 5, 5, and 5 equals 15. So you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, a triplet is 6, plus a 15 is 2, and that's 17 points. So if you end up getting a crazy hand like a 7, 7, 8, 8, and then the cut card was something like a 9, you start getting into stupidly good hands because at this point, we have a lot of different stuff. So usually what you do is you count your 15s first. So you have 15, 2, 15, 4, 15, 6, 15, 8. So you have 8 just off of your 15s. And then you have, what is that, quadruple run? I think so. Because then you have 1, 2, 3, 1 other 8, 2, 3. So that's 2 3-card runs. But then we can use this 7, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's 4 3-card runs. That's 12 points, plus the 8 from our 15s, plus a pair is 2, plus a pair is 4. That is 24 points. 24 points is basically the best hand you can get in the game. I think there's a way to get 26 points, although I can't honest to God remember what the combination of cards is, but basically 7, 7, 8, 8, 9 is basically the best hand you can possibly get. It's exceedingly rare for you to do it. I've never had a 24 hand card in my life. I've had a 22 point hand, I think, and that's it. I've never had 24, but you can start getting like this, and it starts getting seriously insane in terms of the scoring. Because like, 15, 2, 15, 4, 15, 6, 15, 8, 12, So nonetheless, that is how you score your hands. You look at your hand and you figure out how many points you have in your 15s, your runs, your pairs. So when you're choosing cards at the beginning of the game, you want to choose cards that are going to give you points. You don't want to choose just like random stuff because it's not really going to help you. So that is scoring. The person who did not deal scores first, and then the person who dealt the cards scores their hand. But then comes in the crib. After both players have scored, then the dealer gets to score their crib. Their crib is these 4 cards we left off to the side. The dealer then gets to flip over these cards and score these. There's only 3. How is there only 3? Let's say that was part of the crib. Hey. So then the dealer gets to score this crib. Now, the dealer put in 2 cards, the other player put in 2 cards. You don't know what the other person put in. So the crib generally doesn't score you a ton of points because you're not coordinating with anybody. And on top of that, the other person is probably purposely trying to give you cards that aren't great. The dealer, also including the cut card, gets to score their crib. So we have 2 and 3 is 5 plus 10, that's 15, 2. But 9 and 1 make 10 plus 5, that's 15, 4. And then we have a 3-card run is 1, 2, 3. That's 7. 4 plus 3 is 7. And that's your crib. That's actually a pretty decent crib. So then you take all the cards and you're going to shuffle them back up. And then dealer switches to the other person. So that means the other person is going to have a crib the next turn. So again, the crib is always going to switch back and forth from person to person. So no one really has an advantage. Just sometimes you're going to score twice. Sometimes you're only going to score once. But that is how you play Cribbage. Cribbage is such a good classic card game. It's by far my favorite game. It's easy. You can get cribbage boards everywhere. You can get like really, really small ones. These are all relatively large, but we do have some smaller ones. And it's just such a fun game. It's a really tactical game, especially during the play, because you're trying to outplay each other and trying to like set yourself up to get points, but not while giving them points. And then you're trying to keep the best hand you can, which sometimes gets like so enhanced by the cut card, but then sometimes just like the cut card doesn't do anything for you. And it's such like a triumphant kind of game. And it's just, oh, it's so much fun, and I love it so, so much, and we're so grateful that we got to play this so much as kids, and that we got to be taught this game from our grandparents, you know. And you can play a bunch of different ways. You can play 4-player on 2 teams, so 2 teams of 2, where each person gets dealt 5 cards. Everyone just gives 1 card to the crib. You can play 3-player, like this here is a 3-player board. You can see there's 3 rows, and essentially everyone gets dealt 5 cards like in a 4-player game. They all give 1 card to the crib, and then 1 card from the deck is just randomly given to the crib, and then there's your crib. And it's you can play a couple different ways on beautiful, cool boards made by your grandfather. And it's just so much fun. I love this game. This is a game that like was in my top 100, and I don't know. It's just a classic card game. There's a reason why there are a billion different games you can play with a deck of cards, and why they're all so popular, and why they all stick around for hundreds of years, and because they're just fun, and they're just a way to come together, and they really are like, even more so than board games, like a deck of cards is like the great unifier. When Mike and I went to Europe on separate trips, one thing that Mike made sure I did, he's like, bring a deck of cards, because what you can do is like when you're at a hostel, just go out with who you're traveling with, go to like the main lobby area and just start playing cards, and people will just join you, and you have this instant camaraderie, because you're like, hey, you want to play like this game? I can teach you real quick, boom, 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 boom. And it's just amazing, and this is a classic card game that just lives through the ages, and for some reason, we played it hundreds of times through our childhood. We were made to play it over and over and over again by our grandparents. And I've never gotten tired of it. And I'm so grateful that we got to spend that time with our grandfather. And our grandmother's still here, but she doesn't really play cribbage anymore. She's a little too old for it. But just, you know, our grandfather's gone, and I'm just so happy that he loved this game so much to make these boards. And they're all so cool and unique and awesome, and we're so lucky to have grandparents in the first place. Some people don't, you know, their grandparents die before they come around, you know, or their parents even, or anything like that. And we got ours, and he gave us a gift that we can then give to our grandkids someday, you know, and our friends, we've taught our friends how to play cribbage, and we can play on these amazing boards, and then we can tell stories about our grandfather and being like, yeah, our grandfather was like this crazy dude who loved woodworking, and he made these boards, you know, with his hands and stuff like that, and they mean everything to us. And if you have your grandparents out there, cherish them, because they'll eventually go away, you know, and that's okay, because that's life. But that's how you play cribbage. Cribbage is the best. Look it up. I'm sure there's like apps for it. You can probably play it and learn it there. Probably learn it in a way better way than I taught you right here. It's just great. I love cribbage so much. And this one goes out to the grandfather. I don't know if there's a God or if there's a heaven, but if there is, I know his ass was first in line to get in, because he was just the best person. So that's going to be it for Board Game Highlight. My name is Nick Murphy. Yeah. Cherish your grandparents. They're the best. Have a good one.